The sun hung high in the sky, its rays baking the asphalt of an old, almost forgotten gas station on a quiet highway. A low rumble broke the stillness as a bright yellow Ferrari glided into the lot, its glossy surface catching the light. The engine purred to a stop, and the door opened smoothly, revealing Keanu Reeves in a simple black jacket and sunglasses. As he stepped out, he took a deep breath, letting the calmness of the place settle around him. Opening the back door, he smiled warmly as Diesel, his loyal pitbull with gentle, curious eyes, hopped out and wagged his tail excitedly. Keanu knelt down, giving Diesel a light scratch behind the ears. "Stay close, buddy," he murmured, his voice calm and reassuring. Diesel wagged his tail even harder, his tongue lolling out as he sniffed the air curiously. The dog moved around, his nose exploring every scent on the cracked concrete. Keanu moved toward the fuel pump, unaware that several pairs of eyes had locked onto them from the far end of the station. A group of bikers, loud and rowdy, leaned against their motorcycles, their laughter echoing through the quiet lot. One of them, a burly man with tattoos snaking up his arms, nudged his friend and pointed toward Diesel with a twisted grin. "Look at that little mutt," he sneered. "Think it owns the place." His buddies chuckled darkly, their eyes glinting with mischief. As Diesel wandered a little closer, drawn by the smell of the greasy food they were eating, the leader stomped his boot loudly on the ground, making Diesel pause and look up. "Hey, mutt!" he barked, a cruel smile spreading across his face. Diesel wagged his tail hesitantly, not sensing the threat. Keanu, catching the change in Diesel's stance, glanced over his shoulder and saw the bikers watching his dog. He frowned slightly, feeling a tightness build in his chest. But he stayed calm, determined to let Diesel explore without feeling threatened. The leader of the bikers took a step forward, his boot scraping against the rough ground, and gave a mock whistle. "Here, doggy," he taunted, but his tone was anything but friendly. Diesel moved closer, curious but cautious. Keanu's eyes narrowed as he watched the interaction, a sense of unease creeping up his spine. Just as he opened his mouth to call Diesel back, the biker leader suddenly lashed out with his boot, kicking Diesel hard in the side. A sharp yelp tore through the air as Diesel stumbled back, his tail tucked low, and his eyes wide with confusion and pain. The laughter from the bikers rang out, harsh and mocking, as Diesel limped away, whimpering softly. Keanu froze, his jaw clenching as he took in the scene. His calm expression darkened into something fierce and unyielding, his eyes locking onto the biker leader with a cold, piercing stare. He stepped away from the pump, his movements deliberate and controlled, like a storm gathering force. Keanu moved forward, his steps firm and unhurried, his gaze fixed on the biker who was still chuckling with his friends. Diesel limped over to him, nudging Keanu's leg with his nose, seeking comfort. Keanu knelt down, gently brushing his hand over Diesel's side, feeling the tension and the subtle shiver running through the dog's body. "You're okay, buddy," he whispered, his voice low and calm, though his eyes were smoldering with restrained anger. The biker leader noticed Keanu's approach and scoffed, crossing his arms over his chest. "What's the matter, Hollywood? Didn't know your little mutt was so fragile," he sneered, his lips curled into an arrogant smirk. His friends laughed, clearly enjoying the show. Keanu didn't respond immediately, just stood up slowly, his towering presence casting a shadow over the man. "You think it's funny to hurt a dog?" Keanu's voice was calm, but had a dangerous edge to it, like a knife wrapped in silk. The biker leader shrugged, unbothered by the tension in Keanu's stance. "Dogs like that shouldn't be wandering around. Pit bulls are nothing but trouble. Did everyone hear a favor?" he said dismissively. Keanu took a step closer, his expression unchanging. "That's where you're wrong," he replied, his tone steady and unyielding. "It's not about the breed. It's about how you treat them. Maybe someone never taught you that." The biker leader snorted, rolling his eyes. "Don't get all preachy on me, pretty boy. You're just an actor. Stick to your scripts and leave the real world to us." Suddenly, one of the onlookers pulled out his phone and started recording, realizing that the situation was escalating. A few more people gathered around, intrigued by the confrontation. The biker leader noticed the attention and puffed out his chest, trying to look even more intimidating. "What? You gonna cry about it? Go on, Hollywood. Show us what you got," he taunted. Keanu stayed silent, his jaw tight, refusing to be baited by the man's arrogance. Diesel, now sitting beside him, seemed calmer, but kept his wary eyes on the group. Keanu gave the dog a reassuring pat, never breaking eye contact with the leader. The biker stepped closer, his smirk growing wider. "You scared, huh? Not so tough without your movie stunts," he mocked. With a slow, deliberate motion, Keanu raised his hand and pointed toward the security camera mounted on the gas station roof. "You sure you want to keep pushing this?" he asked, his tone cold and calculated. The biker glanced up, realizing too late that his entire display of cruelty had been caught on tape. For a moment, uncertainty flashed across his face, but his pride wouldn't let him back down. "You think I care about that? No one's gonna believe some washed-up actor anyway," the biker spat, trying to sound confident. Keanu simply tilted his head, the faintest hint of a smile touching his lips. "Maybe. Or maybe the whole world will see just how pathetic you really are," he replied calmly, his words striking deeper than any punch could. The biker leader hesitated, his cocky demeanor faltering for just a moment. His friends, sensing the shift in power, glanced at each other uncertainly. Keanu remained calm and unshaken, his intense gaze never leaving the man's face. Diesel stayed close, his breathing steadier now, as if sensing his owner's unwavering confidence. One of the other bikers, a lanky guy with a scruffy beard, tried to diffuse the tension with a forced laugh. "Come on, man. It's just a dog. Let it go," he muttered. But the leader shot him a glare that silenced him immediately. Trying to regain control of the situation, the leader stepped even closer to Keanu, invading his space with a sneer. "What's the matter, Reeves? Gonna act like some animal rights hero now?" he mocked, but his voice wasn't as firm as before. Keanu remained silent, his expression cool and detached. The crowd around them had grown, and more phones were recording every second. The leader finally snapped, shoving Keanu's shoulder with both hands. "Say something, tough guy," he shouted. Keanu barely moved, absorbing the push without reacting. Instead, he gave a small, almost pitying smile. "I don't need to prove anything to you," he said quietly, his calmness only fueling the biker's frustration. The leader clenched his fists, his face reddening with anger. "You think you're better than me? Just because you're some big-shot movie star?" Keanu looked him straight in the eyes, unflinching. "No," he replied evenly. "But I do know one thing. You hurt an innocent animal to feel powerful. That doesn't make you strong. It makes you weak." The words hit harder than any punch could, and the biker's bravado crumbled for a split second. His friends shifted uncomfortably, realizing how pathetic their leader looked compared to Keanu's composed presence. Determined to save face, the biker leader scoffed and pointed at Diesel. "That mutt's dangerous. Someone had to teach it a lesson," he snapped defensively. Keanu's eyes hardened. "The only danger here is you," he said firmly. "You think violence makes you a man? Real strength is knowing when to walk away." Before the biker could retaliate, the sound of sirens cut through the air, growing louder by the second. The leader's eyes widened, and he spun around to see two police cars pulling into the gas station. The officers stepped out, hands resting on their holsters, assessing the situation. One of the officers, a tall woman with a no-nonsense attitude, approached the group. "What's going on here?" she demanded, glancing between the bikers and Keanu. A few bystanders hurried over, eager to share what they'd witnessed. "That guy kicked his dog, just for fun," one of them shouted, pointing directly at the biker leader. Another held up his phone, showing the recorded footage to the officer. The leader's confidence collapsed as he realized there was no way out. The officer raised an eyebrow and looked at Keanu. "Is that true?" she asked. Keanu gave a single nod, his calm demeanor never wavering. "Yes, ma'am. He attacked my dog without any reason." The biker leader tried to laugh it off, his voice cracking. "Come on, it's just a dog. It wasn't that bad," he protested. But the video told a different story. The officer's jaw tightened as she watched, and then she turned to the leader, her tone icy. "Sir, put your hands behind your back. You're under arrest for animal cruelty." The biker leader's face turned pale as the officer pulled out a pair of handcuffs. He tried to protest, but his words came out as a stammering mess. "Wait, it was just a joke. You can't arrest me for that," he argued, his confidence shattered. The officer remained firm, gripping his arm and snapping the cuffs into place. "Animal cruelty is no joke," she replied coldly. "And from what I've seen, you've got more problems than just a bad attitude." The other bikers stood frozen, unsure whether to interfere or back away. One of them dared to speak up. "Hey, we didn't do anything. We were just hanging out," he blurted, but the officer wasn't having it. "You're all witnesses to the crime. Stick around. We'll be getting your statements," she warned, and the men quickly shut their mouths. As the officer led the leader to the squad car, Keanu knelt beside Diesel, giving him a gentle pat on the head. Diesel, sensing the danger had passed, nuzzled into Keanu's touch, his tail giving a weak but relieved wag. "You did good, buddy," Keanu whispered with a reassuring smile. A few onlookers approached, offering kind words and checking on Diesel. One young woman with her phone still recording spoke up. "That was incredible, Mr. Reeves. You stood up to that jerk like a true hero," she praised, her voice filled with admiration. Keanu gave a modest smile. It wasn't about being a hero. It was about doing the right thing. "No animal deserves to be treated like that," he replied calmly. Another man chimed in, shaking his head at the bikers. "People like that think they're tough, but they're just bullies. Glad you put him in his place," he said, earning nods of agreement from the crowd. The officer returned, giving Keanu a respectful nod. "We've got the footage and statements. Thanks for keeping calm and handling the situation the way you did. It could have gone a lot worse," she acknowledged. Keanu looked at her with a thoughtful expression. "Violence doesn't solve anything. Sometimes it's better to show people they're wrong without stooping to their level," he said. The officer couldn't help but smile at his wisdom. "That's a rare mindset these days." "Appreciate it," she replied. As the bikers were loaded into the police cars, Diesel finally relaxed, stretching out and letting his tongue hang out happily. Keanu gave him one last affectionate rub before standing up and addressing the small crowd. Kindness and respect should never be seen as weaknesses. How we treat others, especially the ones who can't defend themselves, says a lot about who we are, he said, his voice sincere and strong. The video of the incident quickly made its way online, spreading like wildfire. Clips of Keanu standing tall against the biker and comforting Diesel became a symbol of quiet strength and compassion. People praised his calm approach and applauded how he defended his dog without resorting to violence. Comments flooded in, calling Diesel a hero and commending Keanu's humble nature. A few days later, Keanu posted a short video addressing the incident. Sometimes standing up doesn't mean fighting back. It means showing the world that kindness wins, even in the face of cruelty. Thank you for the support, and always remember to treat animals with love and respect, he said, his message spreading positivity and hope. As Diesel lay curled up at Keanu's feet, the world continued to celebrate not just the movie star, but the man who chose to stand against cruelty with strength and compassion. And in that quiet moment, Keanu couldn't help but smile, knowing that even the smallest acts of courage could make the biggest difference.